The moment that someone actually decides to change is one of the most distinct things I've ever witnessed. Not when they say they want to change. We've a lot of us have done that, right? We think that's I've decided, right? But and it isn't even when you're talking about researching it or thinking about it. It's when they actually decide because something shifts. I mean, you can almost feel it in the room, right? And I've seen it happen with myself, with clients I've worked with. And here's the difference between someone who is considering change and someone who has decided. It's not subtle, it's really, really obvious. So before we go further today, I do want to say if you are someone who has been considering and reconsidering and in that little cycle and you still feel stuck, head over to talktoperry.com. Really, if you're really tired of the going back and forth sort of thing, and you're ready to stop living in that space in between, that loop has a way out, and I want to help you find that. That's over at talktoperry.com. You know, here's where I started noticing in myself and the people that I work with. Before the real decision gets made, everything feels complicated. There's always more questions, more reasons to wait, more things to figure out. The mind stays busy debating both sides, and nothing seems to move forward toward your goal. That back and forth stuff, it's exhausting in a way that's really, it's kind of hard to describe, but you're not resting, yet you're not really moving either. You're just stuck in the middle, burning energy. A conversation that seems to never end. Should I check this out? Should I check that out? Maybe I should research this. Maybe I should. And we think we've decided. I decided to do this. I'm still thinking about this. No, that's not a decision. Because a moment a real decision gets made, the noise stops. And I'm not saying because the path gets easier. The it's the debate that's over with. You know, there's something that's almost physical about it. It's like the mind stops splitting between the yes and no energy, and it just starts pointing in one direction. You know, I remember reading something that really stopped me in my tracks a few years back. The idea that indecision doesn't, indecision does not just slow you down. It's actually like disintegration because that's that's how I felt. This slow erosion that happens when you keep living in the world of maybe. And this sort of thing, it doesn't feel necessarily dramatic. It's just quietly draining things. And that's where I was at a point where here I am again, beginning of the year, wanting to lose some weight, wanting to get in shape, yet I didn't start because I hadn't made a decision. Now you might say, well, you were probably deciding on a gym, you were probably deciding with your schedule, I was considering all of that. You know when I finally got started and made the decision? 4 months later that year. Now this is after a cycle of several years prior, thinking I would do it on my own, I'll figure out my own way, I'll do this exercise, and I kept not having any success. So what changed? I made a decision. The noise stopped. I'm starting this day, and I committed to it. Then I didn't even have to debate whether I was going to exercise or not exercise. As a matter of fact, obstacles happened right away. The day that I was going to start, I think it was April 13th, I'm going to start. And I twisted my ankle like the week before. And I was like, I better put this off. I better wait until I'm healed. Plus, Easter's coming up, and I'd make this stuff up. And I'm like, no, you made the commitment and you made the decision to do this. There is no negotiating anymore. You just decide and you go forward. Figure it out along the way. And that's what I did. Easter still happened and I did pretty decent. I still had the twisted ankle and I modified. I moved forward anyway because the decision was made. The decision wasn't, oh, should I do this or not do that? That's not decision. That's ambivalence, right? So I think people feel that they need all the answers before they can actually commit. But what happens is when you make the commitment first, the answers start showing up. And a lot of us don't realize that. Take action first. That's when the motivation happens, right? So I've watched people go from stuck for years to moving fast within weeks. I was blown away when I started taking my action, doing the action and committing. I lost like 32 pounds in 3 months. I'm like, why did I delay all this for so long? Burning so much energy instead of calories, right? And it's not because the circumstances changed. It's just we stopped negotiating with ourselves. The resources, the energy, the clarity, the motivation, the follow through is all there, and it shows up after the decision's made, not before. Some people feel like they have to have it all figured out. Now, here's another thing that I noticed. People the ones that have truly decided, they stop talking about it. How it might work and or what the great things that will happen. No. And the other thing, and this is a big thing, speaking of talking about that, I was talking about for myself how it might not work. And what if I show up and nothing happens? I don't get the results. I don't want to waste my time. I was having those conversations. When I made the decision, that conversation disappeared. And I still had challenges, like the twisted ankle, a few other things, because I was very overweight and out of shape and I thought I could do 10, 15 push-ups. I could only do 2. I was beating myself up. But those things, I just didn't stop when the challenges came up. I didn't give them the power to stall my decision. So the point here in today's podcast, decision does not require perfect conditions. It does require, that you start showing up. It doesn't require that you know every step. It's just that you stop the debate and you commit to a direction. That one move changes more than most people expect. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. Is there a decision that you've made that changed everything for you, where you committed and you got in shape, you were able to reach a goal? What was it for you? I'd love to hear that down in the comments. I promise I will reply. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness Community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to upsidedownfit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.